Ladies and gentlemen, boot friends and family, this is a special launch episode of the Boot Nerds podcast. I'm here joined by my good friend Josh from Canada. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing Canadian.
Well, so you're doing very, very polite. Look, today we're going to talk about the brand new Adidas X plus F50.6 limited collection boot, and we kind of figured, just to give you guys a bit of an idea about what is going on. Why is this not as long as all the other videos? Why is this dropping on a Tuesday? Well, we just figured that with some of these launches here, we might expand on some of the videos you probably already saw on SR4U and on Unisport, and kind of discuss new releases as they happen, instead of just kind of gathering up all our thoughts on Thursdays. So this is not a big thing, and if you like it, let us know. If you hate it, well, let us know as well. We might stop doing it. But leave us a like if you like the concept. Let us know in the comment section right down below. And if you have any questions that you want us to answer in the normal Boot Nerds podcast episodes, you should tell us as well. But Josh, without further ado, let's talk about this bad boy here, a limited edition release, another remake of the F50.6 from 2006. It actually launched in 2005, but it is a 2006 model. We're talking a one-to-one upper, exactly as it was back in the day. Lace cover, everything like you have there, basically. It even has the pattern underneath the outsole, and then of course it has an Adidas X19 plus tooling. That also means that, of course, it's lighter. You've heard that on both our channels. It has the same adiHex synthetic upper here. It has the same like Velcro lace cover. I don't know what you call this flap thing. And basically, it is very much like the upper you're holding in your hands. But it's got a much less bulky outsole because it's not a TUNiT. So this means that you basically get the F50.6 upper with the feeling of an F30.6 because it has a normal FG outsole on it. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, this is a boot. This is one of the first high-end boots that I had as a kid. In fact, I'd probably say that this is the first high-end boot that I was like, I want that boot, and I actually got it. And it was not a great experience, I have to be honest. Right, I think we've talked about the F50 TUNiT series on the channel before. This being the first of the TUNiT models, and I've lovingly called it football boot Legos because that's basically what it is. And it's a boot that I got as a kid and thought, wow, that is the coolest thing, that I can customize the stud pattern, unnecessarily wearing soft ground studs, as I would have been like 13 years old at the time. And I don't know how many studs I lost, and I ended up getting a bruised heel because I was running in them on surfaces that were way harder than I needed to with long soft ground studs, and they didn't fit me well and they were uncomfortable. And it's a boot that because I liked them so much at the time, I convinced myself that they were great, but looking back, they were not great. It's not a good experience.
No, and that's the thing. And the funny thing is that when you look at the upper that you have in your hands, it's actually a nice upper. It's relatively soft. It's lightweight. Back in the days, well, the one you have right there, the fit around the toe is absolutely, well, it's ridiculous because it's the bulkiest thing you'll ever see in your life. Like it's basically a square 90-degree ankle on the toe, and it looks ridiculously stupid. But the material, the adiHex synthetic, was actually relatively nice, and I like how you can actually feel on the new remake here that it's still a nice synthetic in 2019. Okay, is the boot, like you probably heard us say already, it's a little, bulky with the whole Velcro thing, and it's not the sleekest thing in the universe, but the fact that they slapped it on an outsole that actually feels like it should and actually complements the upper, I really like that a lot. And you don't have the whole experience with losing studs or the outsole snapping, or you can't tighten the studs, and then you have to switch from the comfort outsole to the Pro Light, and it was it was a great idea, but a really, really rubbish execution, I think it's fair. But now it's here. Like, we get the upper without all the hassle and the rubbishness of the TUNiT system.
It's a really, I like it. I admire Adidas because it's easy for them to do the Predator remakes and do the old Predator uppers because everyone loves the Predators, right? This is a boot that I don't think I would have expected them to ever remake because I don't think in their history this is like looked back on as like, wow, this is an iconic football boot because for the most part, I would say it's fair to say that it isn't. It's I would say it's looked back on as more of a failure than anything, right? It obviously was the first of what was a big chunk of the F50 history, where it went from being a really good, unique boot with this lace cover and sleek leather upper, and really the 2002, 2004
F50 was amazing.
Right? Those were great boots. And then this was just a step in a very different and perhaps the wrong direction. And they kind of stayed on that path for a number of years until, again, we got the F50 Adizero in 2010, which completely changed the modern football boot industry. One of the most influential football boots, probably the most of the last 10 years, I would say, in terms of the direction of everything getting thinner and lighter. But I mean, it's really cool to see something like this, especially given that this is a pair of boots in the exact colorway, I might add, that I had as a child. So I don't know that it's the best to play in. It's certainly better now than it was back then, but it's cool that they did this.
Yeah, and if you hold up the bottom of your original upper, you can actually see that they've replicated the exact pattern that you also saw on the OG boots. And because the outsole is see-through, it actually looks like it has the same, it has the same looks as it did back then. And I think it's a very, very it's a nice, loving tribute to the OG boot, where they kind of, make up for what they did back in 2005 and 6. Because this is what it should have been back then. Obviously, it's not a great boot by 2019 standards, but for people who want to know what technology was like back then, I actually think, as I said in the Unisport video, that this is a nice, throwback that you can actually use and enjoy today. Just like the T90 laser ones that we saw Nike release, by the way. It's a really interesting boot, and because the upper is so light, the new X19 Plus tooling is so light, it's just one of those boots that are enjoyable to play in if particularly you had it as a kid. Because I think a lot of us who are wanting to buy this boot would be the ones that remember it from those days. Because let's be honest, if you're a young guy these days, would you get this? I don't know.
This is a football boot for boot nerds. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
I love that they did it. And you know what's funny about this boot now is like, it looks, I think it's hard to say that this looks modern, but this is like, imagine like back in like the late 80s, early 90s, and there was like a designer inside of Adidas and like, this will be the future of football boots, right? Like you kind of look back at like the old stuff and what they imagined the future to be. This would be kind of like a drawing that somebody would come up with, and you'd say, they'll probably never make it. And they actually made it. And I don't know. It's very futuristic, but at the same time, it's one of the cheesiest looking football boots of all time. And just speaking of cheesy, I just remembered this as a kid when I had these. I convinced my parents to actually buy me the matching shin guards. So I had the blue chrome. They were blue chrome with like the X thing in the middle, the same design on the bottom. And I wore it. It was amazing. I was such a weird 13-year-old kid.
The funny thing is, I also had these back in the day, and I had the blue one and the white one launch colorway. I played for a team that wore blue and white, so I obviously did the Gibril Cisse thing and mixed them up. So I had a white right boot and a blue left boot, and it looked absolutely ridiculous. So maybe it's a good thing they haven't done, you can't mix the uppers this time. I just appreciate this for what it is. It's not a boot I'm going to go back to like the X99.1 was. I don't think it's the best Adidas boot around, but it's a nice way of fixing what was a very good idea and a pretty good upper back then, and kind of, make amends. And I like it for that. But it wasn't the F50 I would have thought and would have hoped that they would have brought back. I was I probably would have hoped for an F50 Plus instead.
Yeah.
So Adi, if you're watching this, you probably aren't, but if you're watching this, we need that.
Yeah, it'd be cool. But you know what I remember as a kid, and I was reminded of this when I actually got to try these on, is I remember getting them, and the first time, when you're a kid, the first thing you do is you go take free kicks, right? And I remember striking a ball for the first time and thinking, wow, that is a lot of material on top of my foot. Like, I don't know that feels good, but because I liked the look of the boot so much at the time, it was just like something, you know what, I'll deal with it. But like looking back,
thing is,
this is the worst. This is one of the worst lace covers ever.
It's so bad. This whole stitch part here, it's like the biggest chunk of material just overlaid, and it's not very nicely. It doesn't blend very well. It's just there, and a big chunk on your foot. No, it's not nice to strike the ball with, but it's cool, and it looks fun, and yeah, I guess
I don't know. I don't want to diss concave for no reason at all. But like I remember seeing the first concave boots and thinking, wow, it's kind of a cool idea, but man, that seems like an unnecessary amount of bulk. Meanwhile, this existed before that, and it's like even bulkier than the concave element. I don't know. It's a hilarious football boot to me, and I'm still shocked that Adidas decided to make this. But man, it's cool that they did. I appreciate it.
Yes. Which was your favorite upper out of all the ones that came, even the country ones?
Oh, for me, I think it was the blue ones. I just like the blue ones. This is the ultimate colorway for me.
I think the blue ones are perhaps some of the cheapest looking boots I've ever seen in my life.
That's what makes them great.
Well, fair enough. So what would we say? I mean, does this rank as one of the best or the worst remakes of the year?
I think Jay, it has to be the best. They intentionally made an upper that is terrible, and they gave us exactly that. They didn't try to improve it. They just gave us the same terrible upper. I love what they did. I think it's so cool. The one thing that I don't like about remakes is when they don't stay true to the original, and they've done that with this, even though they probably shouldn't have.
So is this actually better than the T90 Laser 1 remake because they actually stuck with the OG upper despite the fact that it kind of sucks in some ways? It's a bigger risk and more of a commitment than what Nike had to do. Because what Nike did was a very safe move. Everyone likes the T90 Laser 1. It's still a cool looking boot by today's standards. It's like, that was a safe bet that we're going to release that and sell out. This, I don't know what the response is going to be from people on this because it's just so weird. Like I love that they did it. It makes no sense. I'm all for stuff that makes no sense, and this is one of them. I think it's going to sell out though, but I agree with you that it's probably not the remake I want it, but it's the remake we got, and I think it's nice that it's actually playable and it's enjoyable. But yeah, let's leave it at that.
You know what? Can we before we end this, we're going to end it very soon. I just want to ask, what stupid football boot in football boot history needs a remake? Because if this gets remade, then anything is possible. Anything. What would you like to see a remake of?
Like the Zygo Destructs or something, or maybe the PrimeKnit footy sock. I think that would that would be good to get an actual release of that. That's a good call. Yeah. That's a good call. You know what would be a really risky move? I'd love to see Nike do a 1-to-1 remake of Superfly 1, 2, or 3. No.
And put it out, but then put it out now and I want people to experience those boots again. Like can you imagine if they put out Vapor 3s with the death pad in the heel and people got to wear them again?
Ever.
Oh my God. Because people, I just think it's funny because people look back on those old Mercurials and they have such fond memories of them. And they're like, the new Mercurials suck compared to what they used to do. But give it to them again and let them actually try it now.
But you sound like an angry old man. Just because we had to suffer doesn't mean the young guys have to.
Oh, but I want people to realize how far, because I think people get like, I feel like we get criticized for like being caught up in like the hype of the newest technology, especially when it comes to like these iconic boots. But man, they legitimately have improved a ton. And I think it'd be cool to see the originals come out again.
And this is the reason why they actually altered the upper on the X99.1 and didn't just bring it out. It's nice, but it doesn't work in 2019.
Yep.
And on those notes, I think we should end the episode here. Our conclusion, I think we like it because it is everything it is. For all its flaws, for all that's good with it, it's a fun boot. I think that's kind of what sums it up. If you also think that this episode was fun to just get our immediate reactions to the latest releases on the day of the drop, well, you should leave a like on the video, a comment in the comment section below, maybe even a question that we can answer in the next episode of the Boot Nerds podcast. And with those words, I'm JayMike, and I approve this boot.
Thank you, Adidas. If we're putting in requests, I'd like, if we're going to do stupid F50 remakes, I want the ones with the clear heel, the 0.8.
No.
That'd be cool. Yeah, we need them. Thanks.
I'm cut. Thank you for today.